I see this all the time. People have heard somebody say that, oh, you'll be spending less money in retirement. Think of it this way. When you're working, which days of the week tend to be the days where you spend the most discretionary money? Well, a lot of us, that's going to be on weekends if you have a normal weekday job. Well, guess what happens in retirement? We got a whole lot of weekends compared to before. Hey folks, this is Colin Richards. I'm president and founder of Lord & Richards, and I am so excited to be with you today on another episode of the Lord & Richards Show. And we've been in a series called Top Retirement Questions Answered, the questions that people like you are asking every single day when it comes to retirement. Things like, when should I start my Social Security? Or is it too early for me to retire? Can I retire young, or should I wait? All those kinds of questions are vital and important to get answered. And the one we're going to focus in on today has to do with your spending in retirement. This is a very, very important piece. Without this number, we cannot build an accurate plan. And so today we're going to talk about how to get your retirement budget right. How to get your retirement budget right. And what that really means isn't just budgeting, right? It's more about understanding how you spend money. I'm not here to put shackles on you. My team and I are not going to try to make you feel constrained. What we want to do is understand, what are you spending money on? What haven't you accounted for yet that will be a part of your budget in retirement? Maybe more travel, things like that. And the reason why this is so important is because the people I'm talking to, just like you, every single day, are worried that events out of your control are going to mess up your retirement. And so the things that we can control, like our spending, like our income sources, we need to get right. And then build in a cushion to handle those things that are the unexpected events in life. And then what we do is we take you through a simple process called a financial independence review. And in that process, you will know with a high degree of certainty, hey, am I ready to retire, or am I on the right track if I'm already retired, and have the highest probability of never running out of money before running out of life and accomplishing all my financial goals. That is a financial independence review, and you and I are going to have a great time doing that together. So when it comes to the budget, what I want to start with, or the expense report, is to not plan for lower expenses in retirement. That would be a mistake. I see this all the time. People have heard somebody say that, oh, you'll be spending less money in retirement. Think of it this way. When you're working, which days of the week tend to be the days where you spend the most discretionary money? Well, a lot of us, that's going to be on weekends if you have a normal weekday job. Well, guess what happens in retirement? We got a whole lot of weekends compared to before. So a lot of times our discretionary spending goes up, and a lot of other categories, right? If you're wanting to go see the grandkids, take trips, travel, enjoy life, you need to build that into the budget. So my clients aren't planning, as a rule, to have their expenses drop. Now, we might see some things drop off, for example, when your mortgage is paid off. And we're going to talk a little bit in another episode about whether you should try to do that earlier, or whether you should fill out your full 30 years or whatever the term of the mortgage is. That's a very important question, and we're going to answer that for you. But for the most part, things are more expensive in retirement. For example, plan for fewer deductions. If you do pay off your house, you can get rid of that mortgage interest deduction, right? Or when the kids move out of the home, we call those tax deductions. Little Johnny and Susie move out of the home, you're going to lose those. Or if it should happen that one of you passes away early before the other, then you're going to lose some income, one of the Social Security checks if you're both getting Social Security, maybe a pension if it's not joint, and you may also have the widow tax. We call that the widow tax because you become a single instead of a married filing jointly, and those brackets, unfortunately, and I think unfairly, are not very good. So don't plan on lower expenses. You need to increase that budget. Plan on more travel if that's what you love to do, or more time doing what you enjoy, spending time with the kids, the grandkids, going out to eat, seeing movies, theater, traveling to faraway destinations or points in between. And I want you to focus that higher discretionary budget on those things that you're just looking forward to doing. I really want you to focus that especially into your earlier years of retirement. I'm not the one to come up with this, but these are the go-go years when you're both active and mobile. We're not dealing, hopefully, with any serious health crises that will hold you back. The go-go years, because later on, it's going to slow down, right? As our health doesn't allow us to do so much. That's a natural part of aging. And we shift our activities into things maybe that don't cost as much money, like spending time babysitting or those kinds of things. So I don't want you to underestimate your expenses. Also, a big miss for a lot of people is that even though we're going on to Medicare, it doesn't mean we're necessarily going to have a lower budget for healthcare. Think of it this way. If you worked for an employer that had great benefits and covered most of your healthcare, recognize now that you've got to pay out of pocket for Medicare. You say, isn't that just a small amount of money, or won't that just be completely covered? Well, it depends, but an average study that's done by numerous organizations comes up with a number of over $500 per person in retirement towards their ordinary medical. I'm not talking about chronic illness, nursing home. I'm just talking about the money that goes out your door every single month. So that's $1,000 for a household of two. And then I want you to make sure, as you are generous, and many of my clients are giving people, that you want to moderate that a little bit in retirement to reflect the fact that now you're focused on only withdrawing what you need to cover your expenses. So you, for example, if you're tithing to your church, that's commendable, that's wonderful, that's important. But realize if you were making, let's say, $50,000 a year, and now you're only withdrawing from your portfolio $40,000 a year, those are small numbers for the Denver area. But if that's you, don't forget, you should tithe on just what you actually pull out. So that may mean that you can actually reduce that budget a little bit. So there's some give and take here. There's some play, but the important thing is that you work with a fiduciary, whether that be the wonderful team at Lord & Richards or someone else. If you're moving out of state and you want to work with somebody local, my clients do that sometimes, but whoever it is, I want you to make sure they have comprehensive planning software that can account for these multiple variations in your budget. And it shouldn't be you doing the work. You should have somebody on your side who does this hundreds and hundreds of times a year and knows how to make sure you don't miss important details when you lay out your budget. This is one of the key steps. How do I know that I'm prepared for retirement? Well, we've got to get the budget right. Now, in our next episodes, we're going to be answering some additional questions around inflation and paying off your house. So make sure you pick up those episodes as well. But in the meantime, here's what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to pick up the phone and call us, because this is really an important conversation. We call it a financial independence review, and that's what it is. You're going to know as a result of visiting with us whether or not your financial independence is on track. And that is so important. It just starts with a simple phone call.